Did you know that 2 years ago, Complex once tried to illegally take down a video I made about them? Yeah, they claimed it wasn't fair use because apparently their overproduced YouTube fluff is some kind of sacred intellectual property that is magically exempt from Section 107 of the Copyright Act, which defines fair use including commentary, criticism, and parody, all of what my video was. They presented me with an ultimatum: either bend the knee and take down the video, or YouTube's broken system would do it forcibly, and just like a captain of a sinking ship, I stood strong at the helm, refusing to bend the knee for a corporation throwing a temper tantrum. The video was pulled days later, took my $150 worth of ad revenue, and guess what? It got reinstated over a year later, because shocker, I'm always right. And please like the video for my martyrdom while making another video talking about them, because this video will probably only be up for like a week. But since then, that was over 2 years ago. Complex has somehow gotten more pathetic. A decade ago, they were the culture. They owned the space when it came to streetwear, music, hip-hop, commentary, youth identity, all of it. Now, they're just corporate sludge, recycling the same tired shows, piggybacking off their previous successes, and numerous other one-off spin-off shows, hoping that the guest list will distract you from how little cultural relevance they actually have. They still manage to book big names, but so what? That doesn't mean that the content hits. You can parade around every single A-list rapper, celebrity, and athlete through your studio, but if the people behind the scenes don't get the culture anymore, it all falls flat. And I'm not talking about Joe LaPuma. I can't even stand this guy. But there's a bigger story at play here. The people who once made Complex what it was are all walking away, while the shell that's left keeps pretending it's still relevant. Before Complex became the hollow brand it is today, a corporate echo chamber chasing whatever's trending, it actually meant something. It started back in 2002, founded by Mark Echo. Yeah, the dude behind Echo Unlimited. But credit where it's due, Echo saw a gap. There was nothing that blended hip-hop, streetwear, youth culture, and lifestyle into one platform. Complex became that lane. At first, it was a bi-monthly print mag, glossy, edgy, and cluttered with rappers, sneaker drops, actors, and celebrities all blending together, representing what the early 2000s was all about. Complex wasn't just reporting on the culture, they were curating it in real time. The pages in these magazines meant something, was authentic and truly for the culture. But as print died, Complex had to make a pivot. You see, when Complex first got onto YouTube, they really weren't doing anything too special. The channel felt like a digital afterthought, just a place to dump behind-the-scenes clips, interview random rappers and pop culture names, and upload the occasional half-baked sit-down podcast. It really had no identity, no rhythm, just filler content orbiting the magazine sphere. Slowly over time, Complex would have a steady stream of consistent guests, featuring essentially who those were in the magazines. Some formulas would stick and drag out for a few episodes, but none really would be the pillar to build off of for consistent digital content. But around 2014 and 2015, when hip-hop and sneaker culture were hitting their commercial peak, Complex had already cemented itself in both lanes prior to their connections to celebrities, rappers, and other popular names. This all led to the birth of their longest-running and most successful series, Sneaker Shopping. It was a simple formula. Interview a celebrity while they shop for sneakers, but back then, the guests actually cared about the sneakers. It wasn't just a gimmick to keep the convo moving. You had real sneakerheads pulling up and talking about passion, history, and grails. These episodes were doing tens of millions of views, and for once, Complex wasn't just covering the culture, they were actively feeding it. Complex finally found a stable and consistent series to build off of. Around the same time, Complex launched Hot Ones in 2015, a show that looked dumb on paper. Some random bald dude named Sean Evans interviewing celebrities while they ate progressively hotter wings, but it wasn't dumb at all. Sean mastered the art of asking unexpected, personal questions, making guests actually open up as the heat ramped up as well. Hot Ones quickly became one of Complex's biggest hits. Then there was Everyday Struggle, hosted by Joe Budden. Not your polished, safe celebrity interview. It was raw, messy, and loud. full of heated debates and unfiltered opinions that kept people hooked, whether they loved it or hated it. Complex kept tapping into the culture with endless video series focused on the trendiest hypebeast, stuff like their life at Complex behind-the-scenes videos, don't believe the hype, and street interviews with people camping outside of Supreme drops. It was raw, unfiltered, and it was so real. It wasn't over the top and drowned out with over-editing. The formula was simple and everyone loved it. It made you feel like you were right there in the moment with these early series and interviews. It was authentic. And let's not forget, in 2018, when the sneaker scene was booming on social media, they created Full Size Run, hosted by Brandon Dunn, the podcast that became a cultural cornerstone for sneakerheads. It wasn't just all about hype. It was deep conversations about sneaker history, business, those in the sneaker space, and really culture, anchored by hosts who actually cared and earned respect in the sneaker community. Now guys, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on forever about all these different spin-off shows Complex pumped out over these years. Unboxings, more behind the scenes, you name it. There are just so many, but the truth is, over time, Complex slowly drifted away from being a real pillar of the culture and morphed into just another corporate shill chasing dollars instead of authenticity. Now, the downfall didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, painful unraveling. But if you had to pick a moment that Complex really started to lose its way, it was around 2019 and 2020. That's when the first major crack showed. Everyday's struggle ended after Joe Budden left amid creative clashes, taking a huge chunk of Complex's raw, unfiltered voice with him. From there, the brand started chasing safer, clickbait content to appease advertisers and corporate overlords. The edgy, real conversations that made Complex a genuine window into the culture began to disappear, and with them went what made the brand stand out. Overall, there was a clear shift happening. The culture was being rinsed out, stripped down, and replaced with polished, corporate formulas. But the success didn't come from the culture anymore. It came from the celebrity clout, the name brand bookings, and the illusion of relevance. In June 2021, BuzzFeed made a big move by acquiring Complex Networks for around $300 million, $200 million in cash, and the rest in equity, hoping to boost its presence in youth and pop culture media. But things didn't go as planned. BuzzFeed quickly ran into financial trouble, missed revenue targets, and faced pressure to cut costs. This led to massive layoffs and restructuring that gutted Complex from the inside out, stripping away the talent and identity that once made it valuable. By early 2024, BuzzFeed sold Complex to Network, a live streaming commerce platform, for just $108 million, a massive drop in value that said everything about where Complex now stood. Then came the final nail in the coffin. In December 2024, BuzzFeed sold off First We Feast, the studio behind Hut Ones, for $8.5 million. Sean bought back the very show he built, cut ties, and walked. He took the only thing still culturally relevant at Complex and dipped. That move said it all. Hut Ones was worth saving. Complex wasn't. The sale wasn't just business, it was a public sign that First We Feast had value and future potential, while Complex was just dead weight, dragging everything else down. Desperate to keep their sneaker presence alive, Complex launched the Complex Sneaker Podcast, hosted by their three staple sneaker talking heads, but it just felt lifeless. Then Brandon Dunn, arguably the only one left who gave Complex any cultural credibility in the sneaker space, left too. The full-size run era was officially over, and now what? All that's left is just sneaker shopping, which at this point is just a rinse and repeat show with no soul, no passion, just another format to sell products and fill a time slot. What Complex had turned into is a gentrified podcast farm, a revolving door of mid-tier interviews, half with names nobody knows, the other half with people who don't even want to be there. You've got new shows like 360 with Speedy, which is literally just another interview podcast. India Love on DDG, Duke Dennis, Streamer University. Who the fuck are these people? What are they talking about? They have to stoop that low? What's on your phone? You already know what that is without watching a second. And does anyone know who these guests are? Tanner, Adele, Young Miko, Goat Talk. It's the same. Oh, great. Selena Gomez. What's the conversation here? What's the GOAT opioid? Heroin or Xanax? That's deep. More of the same trashy podcast interview platforms, repackaging slightly different, all just with another random host with zero personality. But all of these platforms just recycle and interview the same people over and over again. They were just throwing random shit at the wall and see what stuck. I said what I said. Yeah, that attempt of a sports conversation lasted about one episode, or even please explain. Explain what? How shitty this show is? This was just, I guess, an attempt at some weird, designer clothing talk podcast. I don't even know a single person they even mention. It's the same recycled structure, repackaged with new thumbnails and forced titles, pretending to be fresh when it's just creatively bankrupt. Complex is now just another watered-down mainstream media outlet, a platform that is no longer used to elevate the culture, but to prop up relevant known internet figures who are only there to use Complex as a promotional run. These people don't care about the platform, and Complex doesn't care about the culture. It's mutual exploitation at this point, and everyone watching can feel that.